Alright folks, welcome to the show. This isn't your average ghost story channel. This is where we dig into the freaky, unexplainable stuff people actually go through. I'm talking hauntings, curses, near-death trips, things science can't pin down but people swear happened to them. You hear these stories, and even if you're the biggest skeptic, part of you goes, what if? What if there really is something else out there? So buckle up, because tonight we're going deep into the weird. Pills, submitted by Daniel Ortiz from Nevada. I overdosed at a rave after taking too many pills. My body shut down, but my mind stayed awake. I couldn't move. I heard my friend screaming, the bass still pounding, and then silence. Everything stopped, like the music had been sucked out of the world. I was in a hallway, endless and white, like a hospital but wrong. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, but some flickered out as I passed. I wasn't walking, just being pulled forward. Doors lined the walls, each cracked open. From inside came voices, crying and laughter. I stopped at one door. Inside, I saw myself, years younger, sitting at my mom's table, smiling. But the longer I stared, the more the smile warped, like my face was melting into something I didn't recognize. I slammed the door shut, terrified. Suddenly, I was yanked backward hard. I opened my eyes to paramedics over me, shouting. I lived. But ever since that night, I hear faint buzzing in silence, like those hallway lights. And sometimes, in dreams, I see that same warped face waiting for me. Bro, that's insane. You're tripping out, your body's shutting down, and instead of just blacking out, you end up in some weird fluorescent hallway with doors to your own memories. That's not drugs, that's like your soul almost checking out. And the face thing? Jesus. That's nightmare fuel. Like, what if that's what death is? Man, you're just walking down some endless hallway till you hit the last door. That's heavy. Growling, submitted by Marcos Silva from Sao Paulo. In Brazil, people talk about the lobisomem, our version of the werewolf. Growing up, I thought it was just stories, but one night, walking home from a bar, I heard growling in the sugarcane fields. It wasn't a dog, it was deeper, almost human. The sound followed me. I started walking faster, then running. Branches cracked, footsteps heavy behind me. My chest tightened with panic. I swore I heard it breathing, right at my neck. Though when I turned, nothing was there. When I finally reached my house, the door was scratched, deep grooves carved into the wood. Neighbors later told me animals had been mutilated that night, torn apart, like something wild had passed through. Even now, I don't walk alone at night. People laugh about the lobisomem, but I know what I heard. Whatever stalked me in those fields was real, and it wanted me to know it was close. Dude, that's wild. You're in the sugarcane fields, hearing growls that don't sound like any animal, then your door's all scratched up. That's some primal fear shit. Every culture's got their own werewolf story. And when people from all over the world keep saying the same thing, it makes you wonder, man. Ouija board, submitted by Rachel Myers from Ohio. When I was 16, my friends and I played with a Ouija board in my basement. At first, we laughed, thinking someone was pushing the planchette. But when it spelled out my grandmother's name, the one who had just passed, I froze. No one else knew her middle name. We asked questions, and the answers came quick. The air grew heavy, cold. A light bulb above us flickered and went out. My friend swore she felt fingers brush her hair. I wanted to stop, but the board wouldn't let us say goodbye. Suddenly, the planchette slid violently across the board, spelling out, "Get out." At that exact moment, something crashed upstairs. We bolted, leaving the board behind. My mom said no one else was home. That night, I dreamed of my grandmother, standing silent at the edge of my bed. Her eyes were dark, hollow. I haven't touched a Ouija board since, but sometimes, in the quiet, I feel like something from that night still lingers. Bro, I gotta say, I'd probably still play it, just for the thrill. But man, if it spelled out my dead grandma's name and told me to get out, I'd be running through the house like a lunatic. Honestly, that's like a horror movie. And I'd be front row screaming while drinking my coffee. Rock bottom. Submitted by Ethan Miller from Oregon. I had hit rock bottom. One night, I sat on the edge of a bridge, ready to let go. The darkness around me felt heavy, swallowing. I closed my eyes, imagining the end, when a sudden cold breeze brushed my face. I opened my eyes. Across the bridge, a faint figure appeared. It didn't speak, but I felt it, staring into me, like it understood everything, every failure, every pain. I tried to stand, to shake it off, but my legs wouldn't move. The figure raised a hand, and a warmth radiated through me, easing the suffocating weight I felt inside. For the first time in months, I could breathe. The figure faded slowly, leaving me trembling but alive. I stepped back from the edge, realizing someone or something had stopped me that night. I don't know what it was, but I'm still here, and I'll never forget it. Man, that hits hard. You're on the edge, ready to end it, and then something as simple as a jogger passing by snaps you out of it? That's crazy. It's like life just grabs you for a second and reminds you there's still a chance. No ghosts, no tricks, just a raw, real moment that can save you. African Black Magic. Submitted by Kwame Mensah from Ghana. I bought a small carved statue from a market in Accra, thinking it was just a decorative piece. That night, I felt strange chills in my apartment, and shadows seemed to move when no one was there. Objects began shifting on their own. My phone would ring with nobody on the line. Whispers I couldn't understand echoed in corners, and the air felt heavy, like something unseen was watching me constantly. One night, I awoke to find red powder scattered across the floor in a ritual pattern. The statue faced me, its carved eyes seeming alive. I realized someone had cursed it using juju, binding a spirit to torment me. I consulted a local healer who performed a cleansing ritual. The statue was burned and the powder scattered in running water. Even now, I avoid similar charms because I know black magic is not just superstition, it can leave a mark you never forget. Man, imagine if he hadn't gone to the healer. That spirit could have kept feeding off him, getting stronger every night. I mean, we joke about curses, but some of the stuff isn't in movies. It's real energy, real fear. That's the kind of thing that can ruin a person's life. Big Dreams, submitted by Lila Monroe from Los Angeles. I moved to Hollywood with big dreams. Years of auditions and rejections left me frustrated and desperate. One night, I stumbled upon an old self-help book claiming it could unlock your true potential if followed exactly. I spent the night doing the exercises, visualizations, affirmations, rituals. It felt silly at first, but the next morning, I got a call from a well-known agent I'd tried to reach for months. Suddenly, auditions I'd dreamed of were open. Success came fast. I booked small roles, then bigger ones. But I started noticing strange coincidences. A car accident avoided at the last second, near misses that seemed too precise, and an almost constant feeling that someone or something was subtly guiding me. It wasn't supernatural in a flashy way, just unnerving. I never felt fully alone, and I couldn't shake the thought that my luck had a cost. Fame came, but so did an uneasy presence that followed me everywhere I went. Man, that's nuts. You're struggling for years, and then suddenly, after following some sketchy self-help stuff, doors start opening like crazy. That's either pure luck or something else. I mean, Hollywood's weird enough on its own, but that story gives me chills. Like some unseen force was tipping the scales for her. The Fighter, submitted by Tyler Jensen from Nevada. I've been fighting MMA for over a decade. Lately, my head's been killing me, and doctors warned me about CTE concussions stacking up. But the weirdest part isn't the pain, it's the voices. At first, it was faint, like whispers while I was alone. They'd taunt me about fights I lost, mistakes I made, things I should have done differently. I thought I was losing it, but the voices seemed aware. Sometimes, in the gym, I'd hear them while sparring, telling me where to strike, where to dodge. Oddly, it made me better, faster, sharper, but it wasn't free. I'd wake in the middle of the night shaking, heart racing, unable to turn them off. Now, even outside the gym, the whispers follow. I can't tell if it's my brain breaking down from repeated trauma or something else, something that won't let me escape. Every day, I wonder if I'm still in control, or if the voices are calling the shots. Man, that's brutal. I mean, fighters take so much damage to the head, and CTE is real. It messes with your brain. But hearing voices while you're awake during training, that's next level scary. I don't care if it's trauma or something else. That's your mind literally betraying you every second. Gone but not forgotten. Submitted by Emily Saunders from Ohio. We lost our daughter Lily when she was only 3. The grief was unbearable. One night, while sitting alone in her nursery, I felt the soft brush of tiny fingers on my arm. I knew it wasn't real, but it felt like her. The next weeks, small things happened. Her favorite toy would be out of place, a lullaby playing faintly from an empty music box. I would wake to whispers calling my name softly, always gentle, always fleeting. I started talking to her in the quiet moments, telling her about my day, apologizing for being sad. Sometimes I'd swear I felt her curl up beside me in bed, her presence warm and comforting, even though I knew she was gone. Years later, the presence hasn't left. It doesn't frighten me, it's sorrowful, a quiet reminder of love lost. Losing Lily broke me, but feeling her near in the shadows gives me the tiniest sliver of comfort I can still hold on to. I am so sorry. That hits hard. Losing a kid is unimaginable. And then to feel her presence afterward, I mean, whether it's real or just your mind coping, that's some deep emotional stuff. I can't even imagine the pain. But the idea that she's still somehow there, quietly watching over her mom, that's heartbreaking and kind of beautiful at the same time. Echoing footsteps. Submitted by Rustam Magomedov from Dagestan. In my village, elders told stories about spirits of those who died suddenly. One evening, walking home through the mountains, I heard footsteps echo mine, but when I turned, no one was there. The wind carried faint whispers in the local dialect, words I recognized from childhood warnings. It felt like someone was watching, just beyond the trees, but I saw nothing. At night, I sometimes heard knocks on walls or low murmurs outside the window. My family said it was likely wind or animals, but the timing was uncanny, and the feeling of being observed was hard to shake. Even now, I avoid walking alone after dusk in the mountains. I can't prove anything paranormal happened, but the memory of that night reminds me how quickly fear and isolation can make ordinary things feel alive. Man, I love stuff like this. It's not flashy ghosts or demons, it's just a guy walking through the mountains, hearing footsteps that shouldn't be there, whispers in the wind, and feeling watched. That's the stuff that really gets under your skin, because it could be real, or your brain tricking you. The Basement. Submitted by Marcus Delaney from New Jersey. When I was a kid, my friends and I found an old, abandoned basement under a neighbor's house. It smelled like damp wood and mold. We laughed and joked, but the deeper we went, the colder it got. We found old furniture, broken toys, and graffiti on the walls. Then one of us heard a soft giggle, but we were alone. We shrugged it off, thinking one of us was joking, but it kept happening. I started seeing fleeting movements at the edge of my vision, shadows slipping behind pillars, objects slightly shifted when I wasn't looking. My friends claimed they didn't see anything, but I knew something was there. After that day, I avoided basements entirely. Even now, I remember the oppressive feeling, the cold corners that didn't belong to the house, and the giggle that seemed to follow me out. I've never gone back, and I never will. Bro, I love exploring stuff like that. But I'd be the first one out of there screaming like a little kid. A basement with giggling, moving shadows? No way. I'd be climbing the walls trying to get to daylight. Kids these days have way too much courage. Dusk. Submitted by Hannah Clark from Vermont. I was walking my dog along a country trail just after sunset. The fields were quiet and the last light was fading fast. My dog suddenly stopped, ears up, staring into the tall grass. I couldn't see anything. A movement caught my eye, a shadow slipping between the trees. It wasn't an animal I recognized, just a figure, blurry in the darkness. My dog growled and wouldn't budge. I tried calling him, moving back slowly, but whatever it was stayed just beyond the tree line. I could feel it watching us, silent, unmoving. My heart was pounding. We finally made it back to the road near my house. Even then, I glanced over my shoulder, half expecting to see it follow. I never saw it clearly, and I don't know what it was, but my dog still won't go near that part of the trail. God damn, that's the stuff that gets under your skin. You're just walking your dog, and you see movement out in the dark, nothing clear, just something there. Your brain wants to explain it, but your body reacts. That's real fear, man. I'd be sprinting back to the house, too. Dark Web. Submitted by Ethan Parker from Texas. I found an old PC in my attic and decided to fire it up. The desktop was cluttered with strange files, some innocuous, others indecent photos I didn't recognize. I had no idea how they got there. I tried deleting them, but new files kept appearing. My friend suggested it might be hacked, so I called the police. They traced some of the images to a previous owner of the house, someone involved in a criminal investigation years ago. The investigation confirmed the PC had been used in illegal activities before I got it. I felt sick, realizing I had unknowingly been sitting at a machine connected to things I didn't want to see. Even after it was confiscated, I couldn't shake the unease. Every time I think about that PC, I remember the strange files, the police visit, and the feeling that I'd glimpsed something I shouldn't have. Limpia. Submitted by Isabel Cruz from Mexico City. I've been feeling weighed down, headaches, bad luck, restless nights. A friend suggested Olympia with an egg, an old cleansing ritual. I was skeptical but desperate. The curandera, a shaman, moved the egg over my body, murmuring prayers. I felt a strange warmth, then sudden cold as she rolled the egg over my arms and back. She cracked it into a glass, staring at it in silence. The yolk was cloudy, with black threads running through it. She told me it was negative energy leaving my body, lingering from past conflicts and envy. I felt shaken, but strangely lighter after the ritual. For days afterward, I noticed small changes. Disputes settled easily, nightmares faded, and a calm followed me. I don't know if it was superstition or something more, but I can't deny the sense that Olympia did something I couldn't see. Holy moly. I've seen a lot of weird stuff, but this is wild. They're literally rolling an egg over someone, and then the yolk shows all this crazy energy. Whether it's psychological or actually affecting your energy, I don't know, but people swear it works. That's some next level folk wisdom. The Jinn. Submitted by Hassan Alvi from Punjab. When I was 10, I was playing near the outskirts of our village in Punjab. Feeling mischievous, I urinated on an old twisted tree that the elders always warned us to respect. My friends dared me, and I laughed, but that night everything changed. I woke to whispers in my room calling my name. The air grew icy, and shadows twisted unnaturally across the walls. Footsteps circled my bed, and I saw fleeting shapes that vanished when I tried to focus. I was terrified, unable to sleep or move. My parents, desperate, called a local holy man. He arrived the next day, carrying verses, incense, and sacred water. The jinn spoke through him, saying the tree had been disrespected, and that I needed to cleanse the area and beg for forgiveness to restore balance. We returned to the tree. I washed the ground, sprinkled water, and recited prayers as instructed. The air felt heavy at first, then slowly lightened. The whispers and shadows stopped. Since that day, I never approached the tree without respect, and I learned that some forces demand humility. Bro, I gotta say, if a jinn showed up and just yelled at me for disrespecting a tree, I'd probably listen. Imagine getting life coaching from a spirit, clean the area, apologize, and stop being an idiot. Honestly, I'd be all about it if it saved me trouble later. The car, submitted by Jason Martinez from California. I bought a used car from a private seller, a beat-up sedan that seemed fine at first. But soon, strange things started happening. The radio would turn on by itself, playing static or faint voices. Doors unlocked and locked on their own, and sometimes the headlights would flicker even when the car was off. I felt like I wasn't alone inside, especially on long drives at night. Once, while parked, I heard whispering from the back seat. The voice called my name and laughed softly. I jumped out, checked the car thoroughly. Nothing was there. My friends thought I was exaggerating, but I could feel it watching me. Eventually, I had the car towed to a mechanic. Nothing was wrong mechanically. I sold it to someone else immediately. Even now, I get chills thinking about it, and I can't help but wonder what or who was in that car with me. Dude, that's messed up. You're just driving, and the radio turns on by itself, doors locking and unlocking, whispering from the back seat. I wouldn't even sleep in that car. That's the stuff that gets under your skin because it's so ordinary, just a car, but something in there isn't right. The elevator that wouldn't stop. Submitted by Derek Johnson from Chicago. I worked nights as a janitor in a downtown office building. One evening, I took the elevator down, but instead of going straight to the lobby, it stopped on the 12th floor. The doors opened to an empty, pitch-dark hallway. I stepped out, but something felt wrong, like the air itself was heavy. I quickly got back in, pressed lobby, but again it stopped. This time on the 8th, the lights flickered and I swore I saw a shadow slip inside. Heart pounding, I wrote it down, refusing to look at the corners. The doors finally opened at the lobby. When I checked the security footage later, every stop showed the doors opening and dark shapes standing inside with me. I quit that job a week later. I never took that elevator again. Sometimes, when I pass that building, I still feel the pull, like it wants me to come back. Man, elevators freak me out already, and now you're telling me the camera showed shapes in there with him? That's nightmare fuel. Imagine thinking you're alone, but something's riding with you. Nah, I'm taking the stairs forever. The Forgotten Phone, submitted by Marisol Vega from Miami. I bought a used smartphone online. It worked fine at first, but one night I found a folder of photos I hadn't taken, grainy images of hallways, staircases, and dark corners of my own apartment. The timestamp showed they'd been taken after I went to bed. I deleted them, but the next night more appeared. Some even showed me sleeping. My heart sank. Someone or something was using the phone while I slept. One night, I stayed awake and left the phone charging. Around 3 a.m., the screen lit up by itself, the camera app opened, and the lens turned slowly toward me. The next morning, I smashed the phone. But sometimes, I hear faint ringing in my apartment, even though I no longer own a phone like that. That's wild. A phone taking pictures of you while you sleep? Dude, that's the scariest thing because it feels possible. Like, is it paranormal or just tech being hijacked by something? Either way, if my phone started doing that, it's getting smashed immediately. The Watcher in the Window, submitted by Claire Adams from Vermont. Across from my house stands an old colonial home, empty for decades. Yet at night, I see someone in the upstairs window, a tall figure standing perfectly still, just staring out. I mentioned it to neighbors, and they all brushed it off. That place has been empty since the 90s, they told me, but the figure was too clear to ignore. Sometimes it even shifted, as if turning its head. I finally called the sheriff. They searched the house. Dust everywhere, no footprints, no squatters. But when they came out, one officer looked pale and muttered, "Keep your curtains closed." Now, every night, the Watcher is still there. And when I forget to close my blinds, I swear it moves closer. Oh, hell no. Seeing someone in a window of an abandoned house every night, that's the kind of thing that makes you question your sanity. And then the cop telling her to keep the curtains closed, that's when you know it's real. I'd move the F out. The Sleepwalking Roommate, submitted by Tyler Brooks from Ohio. During my sophomore year, my roommate started standing at the foot of my bed at night. At first, I thought he was just sleepwalking, but then I noticed he would whisper low guttural sounds that didn't sound like him. I confronted him about it, and he looked exhausted. He said voices in his head told him to watch me while I slept. He swore he had no control over it, and sometimes didn't even remember. One night, I woke up and found him inches from my face, eyes wide open but unfocused. He whispered, "They don't like it when you move." I froze until he stumbled back to bed. I moved out the next week. He dropped out of college shortly after. I still wonder who or what he was listening to. That's creepy. Man. Your roommate just standing at the foot of your bed whispering about voices? That's not sleepwalking, that's possession vibes. I'd be out of that dorm so fast, they'd see a Joe-shaped hole in the wall like a cartoon. The stolen jewelry, submitted by Anthony Russo from New Jersey. When my grandmother died, I kept a ring from her jewelry box. It felt harmless, but that same night, I heard scratching at my bedroom door. Light, steady, like fingernails dragging against the wood. I opened the door. Nothing was there. The next night, it happened again, louder, more insistent. When I checked, the hallway was ice cold, and I felt a breath against my neck. I showed the ring to my mom. She went pale and told me it belonged to my great-grandfather, who swore it was cursed. "It doesn't like to be stolen," she whispered. I returned it to the box and prayed over it. The scratching stopped, but sometimes, when I walk past her old room, I hear faint tapping from inside. Man, these stories mess with your head. You hear them and you start thinking, what if it's all real? Maybe it's not just ghosts, it's energy, it's consciousness, it's stuff we don't have the science for yet. That's the craziest part, we don't know. Could be hallucinations, could be trauma, could be the universe playing tricks, or maybe it's something way bigger watching us. Either way, the fact people keep experiencing this shit means we can't just ignore it. Respect the unknown, stay curious, and maybe don't pee on haunted trees or steal cursed jewelry. We'll see you next time.